You know what your problem is? You lack focus. I'm not talking about gulping down Adderall with Red Bull
Delicious.
to unlock the beast within. You don't need to impersonate Keshi EU to learn League of Legends. The problem with how most of us approach League is we end up playing, trying our best, and seeing what happens. We focus up and say to ourselves, okay, let's play better this game. In the short term, we actually do play a little better, and sure, if we play enough games and put in the grind, you can see some gradual improvement over time. But just listen to the words gradual improvement. Ew! Gross! Disgusting! We don't want to have to play 500 games with a 55% win rate to see meaningful progress, so it's time to become the Smurf. What do I mean by focus if it isn't ingesting stimulants like they're candy? Focus for improvement is knowing exactly what you're working on when you sit down for a good old gamer session. Have a learning objective. We want to work on one aspect of our game. The more specific the skill, the better. League is already complicated and exceptionally difficult. This is why it's important to be as specific as possible. It helps us avoid getting distracted. It actually makes it easier to make and see progress. Seeing our improvement is more motivating than repeatedly slamming our head into the wall, praying for some LP. Here's an example of a specific focus. You could work on wave management as a whole, but there's a lot of aspects to it. Slow pushing, fast pushing, neutral wave, freezing, thinning, etc. There's a lot of things to think about combined with needing to know when to do each of those things. One thing at a time. Start with just slow pushing, for instance. Counterintuitively, working on less is more. Your progress will speed up in no time. Once you feel you can intuitively execute on slow pushing, move on to something else. Surprisingly, even with a specific goal in mind, it can be easy to get lost in the sauce. Here's a couple tips to focus on your learning objective more effectively. 1. Strengthen your mental priority on the task at hand. There's a big difference between thinking to yourself, I should probably work on wave management. Waking up with an internal fire thinking, I'm gonna become a beast of a wave manager today. 2. Mnemonic strategy. Just repeating to yourself, work on this, is proven to not be particularly effective for remembering things. What is more effective is creating strong sensory images around what you're trying to remember. Memory competitions are a thing. In them, people do random shit like memorizing a deck of cards in 20 seconds. Every single competitor utilizes mnemonic devices. So how do we do this? Let's continue with slow pushing as our example. 1. Figure out a scenario that happens right before or as you need to slow push. For instance, if our opponent has just crashed a wave under our tower, most of the time we want to slow push back to their tower. 2. Create a strong sensory image that will help you remember slow pushing should happen at this time. As I'm farming the crash wave under my tower, I would picture a turtle pushing a wagon of minions across my screen. The turtle is slow, and pushing a wagon is push, slow push. But for you, create whatever sensory image that works for you. The more specific and detailed, the better. I know it seems kind of weird, and that's because it is, but it works. You can do this for any relevant scenarios you're trying to work on in games until you get more consistent at doing so. My goal with this video is to provide unique and actually helpful advice for improvement. Tell me a subject you'd like me to cover in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.